Michael Steele is the former head of the Republican National Committee, yet here he is giving Democrats their marching orders. That's how insane this country has become under Orange Mussolini. The question is, should Democrats listen to him? Well, if you listen to Mark Cuban, Hakeem Jeffries, and Legia Miller, you'll be able to answer that question once you hear his advice. Now you might be asking, Legia who? Legia Miller, a popular YouTube host and lawyer who does excellent political analysis through the dual lens of history and the law. And one of her most brilliant videos is this.
40 years after first being elected president, the myth of Ronald Reagan still lives on in the minds of people who are too deluded to see that the American dream Reagan stood for is the same American dream he irreversibly decimated during his time as president. This is how Reagan ruined everything.
Now, as brilliant as Miller's video on Reagan is, it leaves out one important piece of the story if you're considering whether to take Michael Steele's advice. And that piece of the story is Speaker of the House Thomas Tip O'Neill from Massachusetts. Democrats held the majority in the House against Reagan, and while it's true that the House majority was held together with a lot of conservative Southern Democrats, they held the majority nonetheless. O'Neill's strategy to counter Reagan was to let Reagan's agenda pass, cutting taxes for the rich and screwing the middle and working class. According to O'Neill, the working and middle class will be so slammed by the Reagan agenda that they will come running back to the Democrats. And sure enough, the midterm elections of Reagan's first term were a blue tsunami. As a result, O'Neill was hailed as a political genius. Only the rollback of the Reagan agenda never happened, despite that blue tsunami. Nor did Reagan lose re-election, and as a result, we have never recovered from the Reagan Revolution. It is a classic case of short-term gain, long-term fiasco. The Reagan Revolution permanently brought the heartland voters and evangelicals to the Republican Party, and no one has won them back since. In fact, they were just instrumental in re-electing Trump. Alarmed by this whole Trump billionaire fascist oligarchy, billionaire Mark Cuban keeps pushing back. His latest post on Blue Sky advises Democrats, want a great slogan for midterms? If you FAFO and are struggling because of Trump's policies, we understand. The Dems are here for you. Tell us how we can help you. You get the point. FAFO will be the theme. Be the solution. Now, Cuban is saying two things here. Democrats must define themselves as the opposition party, and they must start reaching out now to the working class and middle class voters who are going to get screwed by the Trump agenda. So the question becomes, how best to define yourself as the opposition party? Here's Michael Steele's advice.
Chill on this all this kumbaya bipartisan crap, because at the end of the day, here's your headline: Republicans shoot down Democratic request to ditch party line immigration push and write a bipartisan bill instead. Senate Republicans are making it clear they will pursue a border package without Democratic input. They don't want to work with you. They're not going to work with you. They have the House, the Senate, and the White House. Let them choke on that. Do not help them out because they don't want your help. They're telling you they don't want your help. So y'all need to just come to the table real and understand that the person sitting on the other side don't want you at the table. Get up, take your coffee, and go into another room.
Michael still said when they go low, y'all better go toe-to-toe.
Let me just say this. I think the American people want to see elected officials be serious and work together.
No, they don't.
But
now, at first, Steele seems to be proposing the Tip O'Neill solution. Only there's a key difference here. Republicans hold all three branches of government now. Oppose everything they do, but get out of the way and let them vote it all through. And let them reap the consequences. Does that mean lay down for Pete Hegseth? No. Obviously, oppose everything, but stop normalizing the working of our government. There's nothing normal anymore. We are heading swiftly towards fascism. Former Navy and CIA analyst Malcolm Nance has just posted that Trump is now turning America into Nazi Germany faster than Hitler turned Germany into Nazi Germany. Enough with protecting decorum. Protect people. You can reestablish decorum when we have stamped out fascism and the take no prisoners politics of MAGA. And I don't know who the nasally little commenter was in that clip who tried to argue that the American people want to see the parties working together, but that person is a pinhead. There isn't a voter in America who wants that. Right or left voters both want the same thing, to see their side win. I've said this before, and I'll say it until Democrats finally get it. Voters want to identify with power, and Democrats are awful at projecting power. Want proof? Check out Hakeem Jeffries' latest post. Presidents come and presidents go. Through it all, God still sits on his throne. Don't worry? That's the minority leader's advice to Democrats? Let me show you the last guy who ran on a platform of not being worried. So Mark Cuban is right about two things. First, the midterms have already started, yet Democrats aren't building towards it yet. Because in addition to not defining themselves as an opposition party, they have not started reaching out to those that are going to get screwed. And the way you do that is with solid pocketbook proposals now. Dems should be introducing legislation now that Republicans are going to vote against, but that can be the platform for the midterms. Democrats should be filing bills capping the cost of prescription medicines, a no tax on tips bill, followed by lower tax rates for the middle and working class, larger deductions for childcare and dependents, raising the ceiling on Social Security contributions for greater equity, and of course, a billionaire tax to make things more fair. That and about 5 other great ideas that somebody other than me has, but are not being talked about. This coming November is not the time to start talking. Now is. And on that track, people from Pennsylvania need to start working now to find a candidate to primary and defeat John Fetterman. He has somehow morphed into Joe Manchin Jr. and is way too much a liability and not an asset. Well, maybe the first part of that word. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.